what is the individual possibility of action? Because I think people are starting to look over their shoulders and starting to curb their opinions and who they express them to simply because of what they're seeing at such exalted levels.
We're doing it right now. Just speak. Just speak. Speak in as many places as you can, in as many ways as you can. Live without fear, because the project is to create a feeling of what cannot be said, and fight back on what I think is their ultimate target, which is the fundraising for their political opposition. They really want to shut. That's the Orban method. That's the method of other repressive governments. If they can turn off the flow of resources to their political opponents, then even if people do speak, the speech won't matter very much.
So if not ABC, if not CBS, who is going to carry the ball to the Supreme Court to challenge not only their own individual cases, but the ripple effect of all of them?
Can I say, when you talk about the Supreme Court, we're speaking a little bit about the before times, that I think it's difficult for all of us to understand what a new world we live in. The Supreme Court is not necessarily going to be a resource here. When Donald Trump was in criminal jeopardy for his attempt to overthrow the 2020 election, those cases went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court fabricated out of nothing a new doctrine of presidential criminal immunity. The conservatives on the Supreme Court have believed two things. One is that the law must be interpreted in the light of plain light of constitutional text. And if there's any uncertainty about the plain constitutional text, then you have to look back at the original intent of the writers of the Constitution. Those are our two sources of meaning: plain text, original intent. Now, if you look at those two sources, you will see nothing about presidential criminal immunity, and what little you see suggests the president is criminally liable. But this Supreme Court, with a 6-3 conservative majority, said we are going to disregard our own stated principles to fabricate out of thin air a complicated and vague doctrine of presidential immunity that is written just to protect Donald Trump. It won't protect other presidents because it's so vague and we don't know about the application. It's written to protect Trump from these particular cases. So the idea that we're going to go to the Supreme Court and get justice, I'd be careful about that. The question is what we're all going to do as individuals in a situation where the state is turning repressive and where the courts are not always to be relied on. It's a more dark moment than that. And so the question all of us is, are we going to be intimidated out of speaking? Because in the end, the repressive apparatus of the United States will break down if they have to repress enough people.
Thank you all for watching. We hope you will be back on Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific time, when the new chancellor of UCLA, Julio Frank, is here talking about, can America's universities survive the current assault? There's momentum gathering on both sides of that, and you'll want to listen to that and hear what it is that our American educational institutions are facing and what their counter arguments are. Thank you so much for joining us and for supporting us. Go to the website. You can find out more information on how to do so and on our upcoming programs.